3 higher ed authors, 100 plus college and university presidents, dozens of actionable insights for academic leaders. Commencement, the beginning of a new era in higher education, is now available on Amazon. Welcome back, everybody. It's your time to EdUp on the EdUp Experience podcast, where we make education your business. Dr. Joe Salustio back with you on another episode. Fast approaching number 600, if you can believe it. We're just a little over 3 years old. That's like 200 episodes per year. It's literally insanity as I stand here on my lunch hour, as I do every single day, literally every single day, and podcast with amazing leaders in and around higher education. And of course, if you don't know, I'm going to tell you that we wrote a book called Commencement, the Beginning of a New Era in Higher Education. That book is about 3 months old, and we profiled the first 125 college and university presidents that I interviewed on this podcast and brought in all their insights and put it all into a book that you can pick up. It'll be the best $32 you ever spent on professional development for you and your staff. I promise you that. And I can't wait to write another book to include the next 125 presidents, because I think the one I have with me today is going to make it in that book. I'm going to bring in him right now because he's got a hard stop, and I got like 5,000 questions for him. Ladies and gentlemen, here he is. He is Dr. Mung Chiang. He is president of the Purdue University. What's going on, Mung? How are you?
I'm doing well. Well, first of all, I like your show's title, EdUp. So I'm going to say boiler up to EdUp.
Oh, I love it. Thank you so much. That's such a compliment. And first of all, congratulations on your appointment to president of Purdue University. What an amazing accomplishment for you and your career. By the way, I was doing a little bit of background on you. I don't know if there could have been anything else you would have, like you did everything possible and ever, when I look at your background and how many times and papers and patents and businesses and so on. But kind of getting to the presidency of Purdue was that one thing that rounded out your resume. How have things been going for you in your first 90 days?
Well, thank you, Joe. Thank you very much. I'm very humbled to serve all the Boilermakers here at Purdue University. Well, it's been a half month. I tell you, it's been great. Purdue, very special place. We'll get into more of that. And there's been crazy days. There's been a lot of very exciting days. There's been many days when I get the chance to meet a lot of amazing people, our faculty, staff, students.
By the way, these sound effect buttons will just go off randomly, so you can keep going. It's not to interrupt you. But you're in 90 days. You're 90 days, right? You're about 90 days in. It was the first.
No, not yet. Not yet. No. Let's not accelerate it any further. No, it's been 2.5 months.
Okay, we want to go
80 days. Let's call it 80 days.
All right. So typically, when a president starts out, they have their listening tour, where you're taking over as a president. So you're going to go for the first 90, 120 days, meeting everyone in your new role, getting the landscape. But you were there. You were the dean, right? So you're a dean, and then you moved into the presidency. What has that transition been like in the same place, right? So you haven't come into a new school where you have to meet everybody cold. You've moved up within the same unit, but your perspective has changed. Can you talk about leadership and perspective and how you've had to reset your thinking in this new role?
Yeah, well, you are right. I have the special opportunity to stay at the same great university, Purdue University. So I already started the listening tour as the president-elect during the last 6 months of last year. And prior to that, I was the dean of the College of Engineering, the largest, the top-ranked engineering college in the United States, and then also served as a EVP for strategic initiatives. So I'm not new to the university or to the state of Indiana. However, there's always something new you learn every single day, even in the same job, let alone a different job now. So I've been enjoying a lot of the new conversations, including, well, on the sports front, and including state legislatures, including going to Washington, D.C., and having conversations with policymakers, including engaging with alumni beyond just the College of Engineering, which I have been doing prior to this job. So it's been fantastic to broaden that perspective even further. And the more I learn about all dimensions of Purdue University, the more impressed and humbled I am to have the chance to serve all of them.
Epic.
We love it. And, you know, one of the most important parts of this podcast is about leadership. You know, there's a saying right now, Mung, that there is no harder time ever to be a college and university president, because and that comes up because, well, first of all, for a lot of colleges, some are in trouble, right? There's a lot of colleges in trouble. The landscape is changing. For a R1 like Purdue, probably not much trouble in the future, but continuing to evolve and elevate the brand. And I bring this up because there was the Daniels decade. You had a true disruptor among you, Mitch Daniels, who really disrupted the industry, did some things for the first time that universities had never seen before. And you take over for him. How do you wrap your mind around the priorities, right, in taking over? How do you decide what comes first as a new president? I mean, there's so many questions. I can't even get them out, Mung, but how do you decide what's next? What's first? What are the priorities?
Yeah, well, first of all, you're right that my predecessor, Mitch Daniels, he is a visionary, transformational leader. And among all the truly incredible things that he did for Purdue University includes the now 12th years of tuition freeze for student access and success.
Fantastic.
So the affordability part. By the way, I love your sound effect. You should have one that's just boiler up. I'll make that one for you.
Well, since you said that, maybe I can just take that out and I'll put it out, I'll edit it and put it at the beginning of the episode now.
Yeah, go ahead, do that. Go ahead. Especially when you are talking to any Big Ten colleagues, always say boiler up. So now Mitch has been just fantastic, not only in affordability, but also in further elevating the excellence at the university in terms of generating new resources, transforming the campus, getting into online learning, and also economic growth. As a public land-grant institution, Purdue has a responsibility to become an economic engine, to create new jobs, and to grow the industries surrounding us in central Indiana. So now, over the past few months, during the transition time, we announced a couple of very exciting initiatives. We're continuing those. For example, we're going to open a new campus, our first urban campus in downtown Indianapolis.
Wow.
Another example is transforming a new school of business, which the Board of Trustees just named after Mitch as the Daniels School of Business last month in honor of him. And that transformation.
Great investment into that too.
Yep, that transformation is also truly exciting. So there's a lot of wonderful things happening here.
Talk to me a little bit about your commitment to the business community. You've been in and around and involved in business throughout your entire career. I mentioned the 25 patents in telecommunications and communications, starting businesses, and so on. Now you have this huge investment into the Mitch Daniels College of Business and the money behind it to continually grow and become maybe one of the premier, if not the premier business school in the country. But you personally have a huge stake in business and small business and community building. Can you talk about that commitment and your commitment to business building?
Yeah, well, first of all, as a university, we love to generate talents, jobs, and knowledge together, all three things together. Without the workforce and the talent pipeline, companies are not going to come. Without the jobs and the career trajectories, talents are not going to stay. So you need both at the same time. Take semiconductors. It's a wonderful example right now unfolding in front of us, and Purdue is proud to take a national leadership in semiconductors, research, education, and industry partnership. Well, without the talent, you won't have the jobs sustained. Without the jobs, the talents will not stay. You also need knowledge and innovation and research, because that's how you rewrite the economic boundary conditions, by innovations, so that you'll be looking at a different set of economic equations. Well, my personal endeavors as a startup co-founder, a CEO of a startup company, was particularly driven by the hope that we can translate fundamental research breakthroughs for me in wireless networks to societal impact. And I'll tell you, it's hard. Creating a startup is very difficult. You need to put together the right team, and you have to create customers, you have to create funding sources, and every day you got to struggle, you got to pivot. And I think a lot of the startups or small medium enterprises out there, they feel the same way. Now, it's not easy to be a big company either these days. You mentioned, hey, it's tough to be a university president. And you are right that for Purdue as a AAU institution, a top and large research public university, we're doing very, very well. But it's also tough to be running companies. And we hope that the Daniel School of Business will train many future leaders that can succeed in a technology-driven free market economy that can create opportunities and jobs for many other people.
Nailed it.
You talk about struggling and pivoting in a small business, in a startup, and that those are critical skills, right? Ambiguity, the willing to change quickly, pivot, because you're running a business, you're hustling in a way when you're running a startup. Can you talk about how important those skills are for you as you walk into a presidency, into a large organization that is established and running, has its tradition, right? Over 150 years of tradition. How do you stay flexible when you need to be amidst a machine, as it were, a large machine like Purdue? How do you keep those struggling and pivoting and change skills fresh?
Well, 154 years, Joe, of baller pride here at Purdue. And number one lesson I learned from my own startup experience and also from even just research experience is who before what. It matters much more as to who do you have on your team, working together individually and as a team collectively than the what part. So during my first startup company, one of my mentors asked me, said, Mung, look around. If you have the next startup company opportunity years down the road, what do you want to do? Well, I don't know what. No, it's not about the what, it's about the who. And he said that just think about who do you want to work with. And I said, but don't we need to know what we're going to work on? They said, of course you do, but you'll figure out, and whatever you figure out on Monday is not going to be right by Friday anyway. So you're going to keep pivoting anyway. The key is you have the right team, is the who, is not about the what. Now, nimble and agile execution, that matters to a large, complex organization such as Purdue as much as they do to a small startup company. Now, Purdue is a university system, first of all, so we do have regional university as well. We're going to have an urban campus. We have an online, Purdue Global, and then we have online students enrolled in Purdue West Lafayette Ming campus, the AAU campus. So collectively, we have well over 100,000 students. And the Ming campus alone in West Lafayette, we have almost exactly 50,000 students, 38,000 undergrads, 12,000 master, PhD in residence students. So it's a large operation. However, if you want to innovate, if you want to be adaptive, you have to always be ready to pilot new things, experiment with new things, and just recognize that speed is important. And not everything you're going to try will stay permanently. It's okay to try something new. It's okay to pilot. And then you evaluate which part is going to stay and which part is going to go.
I love what you're saying, change adoption. There's the change curve, right, of adoption. But the more you can create change and the more you can bring people along, the easier it gets over time. That brings me to you, Mung, and you are you're the first Asian American president in the history of Purdue University. And I was wondering, on a personal note, what that means to you to I don't know, represent yourself and your background, being a first in an institution with such a rich, long history. Also, and it's been well documented, you're coming into a presidency unlike many others, and that you're, how do I put this sensitively? Maybe
No, go ahead.
less total years of experience than other presidents who, right? The average age of a president is much older. So you're on the younger side, as it were, and you're the first Asian American president. Talk about what that means and what that means for other folks who are interested in a presidency and other Asian Americans.
No, thank you for highlighting my youth and inexperience.
Well, I did it
but
so
I assure you,
eloquently, don't you think? I did it. I did it pretty well, I thought.
no, my feelings not hurt at all, Joe. So, hey, I just want to say that if you wonder about that, I rest assured that I assure you that this job is aging me very, very fast. Don't look at me and don't look at my age. My psychological age is well over 100 years old at this point.
You're like 110 years old now, just after 2 months in the job.
That's right. 3 months in this job, you are 100 years old already.
That's
so
right.
I'm aging very rapidly. So don't worry about that. However,
years, you're aging.
I'm not sure I'm aging well, but I'm aging fast.
Oh my goodness.
Now, as to the first point you mentioned, look, I think it's just yet again shows, and there are much better examples than my personal story, but this is just one more out of so many stories to show that the American dream is well and alive, that my family and I are living that American dream. It just shows that to be able to be an immigrant to this country, in my view, the greatest nation ever in human history, and to be able to serve the country that gave me and my family a chance. That's a huge honor for us. Now it's our time to give back. As I did serving in a non-political, non-partisan way, my country in Washington, D.C., and now I have the chance to serve so many others in my current position here. Purdue is not a place where we try to be excellent by excluding people. We try to be excellence at scale is what we try to do. We try to provide and broaden student access and success. We have many Boilermaker students and alumni who did not come to this university out of a position of any privilege whatsoever. And the delta, the difference that a Purdue education provides to the Boilermakers is huge. And that's a unique DNA here as a public land-grant institution, that so many others, wherever they might be coming from, they might be just around us in our neighborhood, but they grew up in a farm and they were never given a chance until this Purdue acceptance letter arrives to say, education is meant to uplift people's lives and enable dreams at scale, 50,000 students on one single of our many campuses, right? So that is the DNA that we have here at Purdue. It's one that resonates with my own life. It's one that resonates with hundreds of thousands of Boilermakers' lives.
I like your style, dude.
You know that the world of higher education is experiencing evolutions and revolutions. You want to be part of the progress. Commencement, the beginning of a new era in higher education with insights from more than 100 college and university presidents, will show you how. Get your copy of Commencement, the beginning of a new era in higher education now on Amazon right away. We think you're going to love it. It's
amazing.
I will tell you that I love what you say, and one of the, especially about education and opportunity for people and at scale. One of the things that I have to ask you this because of your position at Purdue and your experience as a dean, there is a question right now that comes up often in higher education, and that is, does a degree still have value? And you've seen it, you've read it. skills-based hiring. It's become almost an either-or conversation. You know, you don't need a degree, go get these skills. Or if you do go get a degree, make sure you pick something that's going to get you skills, or else you're going to regret ever getting it. And so there's this really polarizing conversation that is taking place. And higher ed doesn't move fast. And so, you know, that generally higher ed doesn't move fast. And so technology companies are building their own pathways and so on. And now you see a lot of layoffs with technology companies. And I was thinking this last night when Amazon laid off 9,000 folks. I thought, boy, are they going to be at a disadvantage now because they didn't go get a degree? Are they going to be able to get back into the role that was similar? You know, anyway, there's so much there. Can you talk about that conversation, and at a time when you're taking over Purdue, in the midst of that conversation, what does a degree mean, and why does it still hold value for the masses?
Well, two thoughts, Joe. First of all, it's not about the fish that you be given. It's the ability to fish for yourself in the future. It's about the curiosity driven and the ability to focus and learn. And as a lifelong learner, even as you switch jobs and change industry throughout the whole career, you always be able to maintain that curiosity and the ability to pick up new things and learn. It's also about uncovering more than covering. If you're only thinking about covering material, then yes, a lot of training suffices. And you have to be retrained every now and then, yes. But it's much more about uncovering things about yourself and the world around you. It's a passage in a life long process whereby you say, hey, now I know a lot more about who I am and who I could be and who do I interact with in the world around me. So residential college learning, frankly, yes, as much as we pay attention to what goes on in the classrooms and the laboratories and the student club activities, is truly about that social experience, is a process of growing a young person. So in that regard, yes, education in a residential context during the age of 18 and 22 is not just about getting you equipped to do certain jobs, but is to give you that a time for you to explore who you are. And then the foundation for you to do lifelong learning past the age of 22. Now, on the other hand, I have to also highlight that it's also important for universities to be nimble and innovate too. We don't want to hide behind any excuse, and we need to listen to society and parents and employers are asking us of. For example, Purdue launched a semiconductor degrees program in light of the need of at least 50,000 semiconductor engineers in the United States this decade alone. And our faculty members and staff colleagues created about 9-10 months ago the nation's first S-scale, truly interdisciplinary, hands-on learning-based semiconductor degrees program. And we have an industry advisory board consisting of the chief technology officers of about 20 leading American semiconductor companies, so that it is a seamless experience from lab to fab, as Secretary of Commerce Gina Raimondo said when she visited us late last year. So that's the other side of the equation, is that, yes, we are here to provide not just coverage, but to help you uncover. At the same time, should we always continue to innovate what to teach and how to teach? Yes.
Well said. By the way, I'm going to ask you, I know you have a hard stop, so I'm going to ask you my final two questions. But before I do, I want you to know that I've interviewed Dr. Frank Dooley, president of Purdue Global, twice on this podcast. And in fact, he might come back and co-host with me on a future episode. So,
great. Frank is fantastic.
I was just going to say exactly the same words you took out of my mouth. Frank is fantastic. He is one of the most genuine, amazing leaders that I've ever met in higher ed. And the Purdue Global brand and the Purdue parent brand I just want to make the point that you have this system approach to serve every type of learner, and Purdue Global plays a big part in that in your future goals. Is that correct?
Absolutely. As much as residential learning remains important, as we just talked about, online and hybrid learning is going to be increasingly important as well. It's complementary. And we're going to use AI, we're going to use virtual labs, we're going to use new pedagogy technology combinations to advance the efficacy at scale with online learning, both Purdue Global for working adults, as well as Purdue University Online, which is our Mung campus online version that provides not at the bachelor degree level, but at the master degree level. And it's highly ranked, including #1 ranked online master degree program in electrical computer engineering, mechanical engineering, top 3 in many other engineering and related disciplines. That's coming out of our Mung campus, Purdue University Online, to add to Purdue Global as well. But here is, I think, what matters most to us is quality. It's excellence at scale, not just scale, right? If you plot your typical chart of number of students, let's say, as a way to reflect scale on one campus or across all campuses in the system, and then you plot, as a nerdy engineer like myself would do, on the y-axis for a sort of some measure of excellence, then you will see that Purdue is at a frontier, what they call Pareto optimal or efficiency frontier there, because we occupy a special position of excellence at scale. Whatever we choose to do, we want to do it with scale, and we must do it with the highest possible quality. And that goes with Purdue Global, Purdue University Online. That goes with all the programs we have. For example, I mentioned engineering. We're the largest top 10 ranked engineering college in the country now. And we have a number of top 4 ranked, final 4, if you will, academic colleges and units and schools departments. That's thanks to the tireless work by our professors and staff and the great students who are willing to work very hard towards those goals of excellence.
That's amazing. By the way, you started talking about axes and everything, and in my mind, that's what was happening. So, but I got your point. You're a true engineer, and I love your passion about quality, because that's right. That's all about the outcome. And as we close out this episode, because I know you have a hard stop, I do want to ask you my 2 final questions. Number 1, what didn't we say about Purdue? Anything that's coming to your mind that you want to say about you, about Purdue in general? Take a minute, just say whatever you want to say. And number 2, Mung, what do you see as the future of higher education?
Well, I'll tell you what I see in the future of higher education first, is that there's going to be a lot of challenges for sure. And you mentioned some of them. There's the overall demographic challenge as well. Anytime there's economic uncertainty and ups and downs, that impacts industry sectors, including higher ed as well. People do challenge, rightfully so, the value of residential learning. If online is doing so well, why do I need residential? Well, I think we have a very good answer here at Purdue. That is because we open up your mind and we help you uncover more about yourselves. And that's just something that residential learning is much better at providing. But people also challenge online learning and say, well, I get it, you got scale, but do you have excellence? Do you have efficacy? Are people truly learning as well as they could, even with the technology's help? These days, ChatGPT and generally generative AI is coming to many different parts of our lives, including K-12 learning and higher education. What do we do with all the AI so that we are not hiding in a corner, so that we are using them? We are building on creative, trusted human interactions that are not yet, at least not today, not yet displaceable, replaceable by machine intelligence. And use machine intelligence and AI to help us focus on things that only human beings can do well. So and the list goes on and on. So ranging from economic to political to technology to fundamentally, what is the value proposition, right, for a research university? Now, is it about student success and access? Yes. Is it about fundamental research breakthroughs, even when they have no direct applications? Yes. Is it about translating some of those breakthroughs into societal economic impact? Yes. And for places like Purdue, is it about serving your state and your neighborhood? And yes. So I don't know whether that answers your question, Joe, but
Yes.
I am excited. I'm excited by the variety of challenges / opportunities higher ed is facing today. Now, as to anything else about Purdue, well, there's a lot. I don't know how much time you have, Joe.
You know what? I'm not the one with a hard stop, Mung, so you can take as long as you want. Just go.
Oh, well, now that you open up this thread of conversation, I can't stop, but I'll try to compress myself to just about a minute. Yes, Neil Armstrong, Amelia Earhart, these are the kind of legacies that we have here at Purdue, the cradle of astronauts, the cradle of quarterbacks. But fundamentally, what makes the Boilermakers special, I think. Now, I'm biased, obviously, but I believe this, as all the Boilermakers do, is because there's sort of a special thing about Purdue, that people are humble. People insist on characters and hard work and serving others. We don't usually brag about ourselves. I brag a lot, but that's my job. I'm paid to do just that. And there's something is hard to describe in mathematical equations, but you see it and you feel it, is that humility, is that grit, is that attitude towards life. And you put that set of values next to excellence at scale, next to co-generating workforce, jobs, and knowledge together. And you put that into our hard tech corridor. So Purdue is opening this urban campus in Indianapolis. Now we are in West Lafayette. It's 63 miles straight line. If you trust the Google map, in the middle is Lebanon, where the state of Indiana is investing. And you got a whole straight line of hard tech corridor, meaning semiconductors, meaning ag tech and biopharma manufacturing, meaning aerospace, transportation, logistics, the smart crossroads of America. So you put all those ingredients together and you see a incredibly exciting and bright future for Purdue, for the Silicon Heartland. We say that we are the heart of the heartland here at Purdue. And you look around, you look at the faces of the students you see every day. As I just walked into my office from across campus, and you feel that momentum. We're moving forward, we're moving upward. As we say here at Purdue, boiler up and one brick higher every morning.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I'll tell you what, Mung, if you went over time, it's because you were talking about Purdue, and it's not my fault this time. This time, I love what you had to say, though, and I really appreciate your passion, and I wish you the best of luck as you transition through this full first year of your presidency. And by the way, I'd like to also shout out somebody who I've come across from Purdue, Ethan Braden, as well, your CMO over there. So I think we've got a lot of Purdue that have been on the EdUp Experience podcast, representatives from Purdue. It is voted as one of the most innovative universities in the land and globally, as it were, Mung, and your leadership, I know, will take it to the next level.
Well, I need to actually just to qualify that. We were voted by Fast Company as the only university in the global top 50 most innovative companies / nonprofits / government agencies. Ethan Brady can tell more about that. Just this month, we are in between NASA and OpenAI.
How do you like that? Well, I'll tell
Well,
you.
I like it better if we're above OpenAI.
Well, yeah. Well, you know what? When I don't know, OpenAI is gonna it's everywhere and anywhere right now. But how we use it, and it sounds like Purdue's going to be at the forefront of integrating AI, and that's what higher ed is struggling. Another thing we're struggling with, isn't it? How do we use AI? How do we adapt to AI? And Mung, I'd love to have you back anytime you'd like to tell me how you're doing these things at Purdue. Maybe we can do an end of year check-in. Love to have you back, ladies and gentlemen. My guest. He's Dr. Mung Chiang. He's president of Purdue University. And Mung, I have to ask you, did you have a good time here on the podcast today?
Well, boiler up to
I love
EdUp.
I love it. I love it.
Take care,
you,
Joe.
Ladies and gentlemen, you've just EdUp'd. It's time to
Level up.
The beginning of a new era in higher education begins with you. Order your copy of Commencement, The Beginning of a New Era in Higher Education by Kate Colbert, Dr. Joe Salustio, with contributions by Elvin Freitas. It's higher education's must-read book of 2022. Discover how you can seize the moment to change higher education forever. Commencement, The Beginning of a New Era in Higher Education, now available on Amazon. For bulk orders, contact Kate, Joe, or Elvin